Do you find it difficult to build online marketing campaigns, or do you find it difficult to actually think with how do you actually put an online marketing campaign together, or how is it structured, or how do you bring the different elements together so that they actually work in a coordinated fashion? So hopefully you would have come from one of our other pieces of online content where you will have seen this image. And what I'm going to do a little bit further on is I'm going to go through this in a lot more detail and explain a lot more about how all the different elements work, and what the journey is that you are sending people on. So where do you start with creating an online marketing campaign? Well, the first thing you've got to do is set a very clear objective or goal for your campaign. If you do not put in place a very clearly defined objective, you'll find it becomes very difficult to work out what channels to use and what content to put out on the channels, because you don't actually know where you're trying to direct people at the end of the day. So having a very clear objective, and also narrow. It's preferable to be narrow. Do not try and set general objectives like, oh, I need to generate more leads. That's generally too unspecific. Then you've got to decide which channels. So now you know exactly what you want to do. You should hopefully have some understanding of your audience, which channels they're on, what they're doing on those channels, and how best to trigger them to start them on the journey that you would like to send them on. So it's a question then of listing out the channels that you want to use in this integrated approach to your online marketing. And you do need to think integrated. They are not random platforms. It's not a question that you're putting out a piece of content on Twitter and something else on Facebook, which are pulling in different directions. They are fully integrated so that you are continually steering and funneling people down to the point where they'll take the action that you require. And this may also include offline. So again, you may be using LinkedIn, emails, direct mail, telesales, or someone just phoning maybe to try and book an appointment, all the way through to the point where you get someone to maybe click a link in an email, which then identifies that they are now seriously interested in your service. And then if you have a telesales department, they would then maybe phone these people up as warm leads. And timing. Timing is important. And timing from the point of view of the different platforms. As you get to know and understand your different platforms, you'll know at what time of day your audiences are most active. And it's also important to make sure that you don't put out a tweet driving people to a blog which hasn't yet gone live on your blog page. So making sure everything happens in the right sequence, which is the timing side of it, is also quite critical. So my name is Mark Baldwin of Talkative Online, and you may or may not already know that, but and I'm one of the partners here at Talkative Online. So what I'd like to do now is to explain in greater detail so that you could have an idea of how you might go about building one of these for your own company. These sort of campaigns will work, and all the different, some of the elements that are actually in place in this. Now, this isn't an actual campaign. I'm sure, as you can appreciate, clients wouldn't appreciate it if we started giving away how their campaigns are set up. So if we start off over here with the email database, so we then create a series of emails that are going to go out, and these emails will all be sort of related, but they'll sort of take the subject and break it down maybe into smaller elements. And then that will be, say, element 1, and it will take them through to more information about element 1. And within this blog, there would be a clickable link with some aspect of interest that would relate to the action page. So that from blog 1, they then click through and go through to the action page. If they go through to the action page and take the action, you've now reached your set objective for this campaign. If, on the other hand, they do not take the required action, they would go back up and be fed back into the email database, ready that they would then receive email number 2. Now, the other thing is, if they actually took the action and you achieve the objective, they would now be removed from the remaining sequence. So they now would not get any further emails because they would have completed the action. Now the next thing is to look at the Facebook. Now there are a couple of things here that you can do with Facebook. For instance, you could, you wouldn't necessarily do it in this instant, but you might. You can take your current live email database, you can put it into Facebook. Facebook will look for any emails that are people have used that are same as the email that you have stored in your email database, and you can create a custom audience. The other great thing that you can do is that you can take, if you've got a good database, you can also take all of the list of your unsubscribers. So everyone that's unsubscribed from you, you can take them, put them into Facebook and create a second custom list. Now, why is this important, or why is this of use? Because those people would have never have subscribed to something with you unless there was some interest that they had originally. So the great thing about this, it enables you to effectively retarget them. It means you can put information back in front of them again, and there's a possibility that, of course, now they might be interested in taking it further on the second time round. The other thing is you can create lookalike or similar audiences. You can also pick pages and all sorts of stuff in Facebook now, drill down within the demographic to create very targeted audiences indeed. And again, if you've got a good Facebook page which has got, you know, the kind of audience that you want on it, you'll know and have a good insight into the demographic, etc., that you already have. So this will help with your building the audience that you actually really want to target through your Facebook ad. Now, the other thing you might do is that you might want to do some split testing. So you might want to run between 2 or 5 or whatever it might be, different ads, and test the different adverts to see which one drives the most traffic across here to the page. At the same time, you're also going to be running posts, or you could be running posts on Facebook. Now, with those posts, you will drive them probably to other places as well as this, but interspersed within the post, you are going to put stuff up which would drive people again to the different blogs. So the idea is that from the standard Facebook page, you're going to want to drive people to the blogs. Your advert is going to drive people straight to the action page, because the advert will give some content or information so that they would want to go through to here. So the advert to some degree might be doing the job partly of what that blog is doing, for instance. So with a Facebook ad, they will have been driven across to your action page, and they've done one or two things now. They're either going to have taken the action and you've achieved your objective, or they will have said no and clicked off without going any further. Now, if they click off without going any further, Facebook now gives us the opportunity with some little bits of code that can be added to a page to retarget them. Now, there's no point with retargeting, and retargeting just means that you will now put another advert in front of them for an allotted number of times, again, to see if you can get them to come back for a second time. Now, there's no point sending them back straight to the action page again with the same advert, because if you do this, they'll see that and go, well, I've already been there, I don't want to do that again. So ideally, you're going to need a different advert or a variation of it. Only this time what you're going to do is that you're going to send them somewhere else. So you might send them to the blog, again, where there is a link that will drive them back to the action page. Now, there may be a couple of reasons why they didn't take the relevant action at the time. It could be because, yeah, they were thinking about it, or just think, yeah, I need to think about it a bit more, or maybe they got interrupted. There could be a whole bunch of different reasons. So by retargeting, you now, and then giving them more information, basically further educating them, that can be the trick or the bit that's needed then to get them to go back to here and take the desired action. So you want to be very clear. This is very, very powerful if you start doing these types of things. It's the same as in the real world when you're working with somebody or trying to sell somebody. if you don't close them first time round, they might turn and say to you, yeah, leave it with me, I'll think about it. And it might take another 3, 4 or 5 times of talking to them before they finally make their mind up that yes, they actually want to do it. And what this is doing the same, it's the same process, but we're doing it online and using the retargeting method. Now, clearly this here is a quite a simple sort of plan that's been, or campaign that's been built out. Normally you would have Twitter, LinkedIn, maybe some video, maybe YouTube. The website might have some pages, or there might be a special opt-in or landing pages. There could be a whole load of other different bits and pieces that could also get built into this if it was a much bigger and perhaps longer campaign that's going to maybe run out over a few months. And also you want to consider that, again, if we look at Facebook, we've got here, then there are going to be a whole series of posts created, because you might have 2 or 3 posts. So if this was running out, say, over 4 weeks, you might want to run 2 posts per week driving traffic to blog 1, and the same for 2, and the same for blog number 3. So there will clearly be a lot of posts on here. These get created, as well as the adverts, the action pages, the retargeting advert, the blog content and the email content. So there's quite a lot of content on here that will need to be created, and the more layers you add to it, clearly the more complex it is, and the more critical it is to make sure that you've got all the bits joined up and everything connected, so that all the action that you really need takes place when you want it to take place. And of course, obviously, then you don't lose, or people don't drop out through the bottom of the net. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight into what this kind of thing is all about, what it takes to actually put a campaign together, and some idea of what it looks like and how this works, a bit more information on how this works. Now, I'd like to offer you some help with planning an online campaign for your business, where I'll help you identify your target audience, where they are online, how to reach them, and which channels to use to best attain the result, and then build a campaign, as you've just seen, that will help you reach your target audience. And best of all, there's no cost or obligation of any kind. Now, I know that probably sounds too good to be true, because this type of knowledge doesn't come cheap. So the question is, why am I offering this? It's like this. I know that although the campaign will have great potential value and you could implement the whole thing without our help, the probability is that you will need some help with content such as email, images, video, blogs, as well as some of the technical aspects. So if you find the campaign of value, you might then want to use our services to either manage or train you or your staff. And I want to make it clear, I'm not offering a sales pitch in disguise. I promise I won't pressure you or pester you in any way. In fact, if you feel I've wasted even 1 second of your time, I will pay for that wasted time to the tune of £200. Now, before we go any further, I need to make something very clear. I can't help everyone. There are certain parameters regarding who I can help. You must be in a position to use multiple online channels and willing to consider integration with your offline approach, and ideally you should be either using or at least willing to use email marketing. So here's what to do next. If you want to schedule a planning session with me, simply click the link below. When you've clicked the link, you'll be taken to a form with a few questions to answer about your business and what you'd like to push. Once I have the information, I will carry out some research for you and then call you to book a time to go over it. I look forward to hearing from you.